Mitchie's Proverb 15 is short and sweet, and we've done it before, really. There are a couple of the later Proverbs which sort of repeat and kind of go around in circles. Uh, Something that happens with the beginner Proverbs. And but Proverb 15, let's just do it. It's basically counter an advanced anchor with an advanced anchor. And this would have tied in with what we did before about splitting, that when our opponent has split or made an anchor, we should look to split as well. And it's a really straightforward concept, but you just bear it in mind that it is important not to get left behind and stuck in our 24 point when our opponent has made an advanced anchor. So Mitchie only gives one position in this entire section. It's as simple as this one. As usual, we're white. We're playing into the bottom right as usual, and we've rolled a 3-1. And look at black down in the bottom right there. They've made an anchor on our 4 point. So this is I think this is probably a straightforward thing. We've slotted our 5 point already, so I suppose there's two choices we have here. We could strip our 8 point, which I doubt we'd want to do, and cover the blot in our 5. We're going to cover the blot in our 5 point. We could split our 8 point to do it, or we could use the 1 and come down with 1 from our 6 point. So I think it's pretty obvious that we don't want to strip our 8 point. We come down with the 1 from the 6, and then Mitchie says, "Well, what did you do with the 3?" He says, "Look at black; they've made an advanced anchor, so we need to start, splitting our back checkers to try and make an advanced anchor of our own." So we use the 3 to kind of come forward, and I think without any sort of instruction in this proverb, that's what we'd probably naturally have done, which is why it's slightly unsatisfactory to have the only one example, and it's so obvious. But you can see that it's better. It's a 15 millipoint error to have stripped up 8 point and not tried to make an advanced anchor. On Sunny Florida Backgammon Club, Gary Koscielny gives this an example, which is possibly slightly more instructive. He's a nice little phrase here that I definitely liked here. So again, if you look down the bottom right, black, our opponent, has made an advanced anchor, so we're kind of wondering what to do. Look up in the top right now, and our opponent's inner board. We can make an anchor. So if we play forward with the 2, if you use the 2 to come forward like that, we've made an anchor. And what I like, something Gary Koscielny says, he says, look, it's not the best anchor in the world, but it's at least we have an anchor now, so we're better off having kind of a crappy, shitty anchor than having no anchor at all. And that's the logic of, I suppose, of what he was saying there. And I think that makes good sense. So if our opponent has made an anchor, we need to try and make an anchor as well. And then there's options with the 3. You could maybe come down from 13 to 10. In maybe 40 years ago, people used to play like that to try and tempt black to break their anchor. But we are giving just black an unnecessary shot, so we're better off just playing 6 to 3 with the 3. Is undoubtedly the better move. But the big thing in this position is really that we use the 2 to make an anchor. And rather than sniffing our noses up and saying, it's only a butterfly anchor, it's only an anchor on our 3 point, it's not really the best of anchors. At least it is an anchor. And when black is anchored, we need to make an anchor of our own, is a big thing. They were the only 2 positions I could find everywhere I looked on this topic. As I said, we did an awful lot about this when it came to splitting originally. But so I went just back to it, and I just kind of played with a position of my own. And I'm going to rattle through this because this isn't any sort of quality backgammon pundit saying this. This is just me playing with numbers. And the great thing with the XGs, you can put in different positions and try them out. So I gave here's this kind of position here. I've given black an advanced anchor and given us the roll of 4 and a 3 to kind of decide what we want to do with it. And well, based on this proverb, counter an advanced anchor with an advanced anchor, clearly what we want to do is we want to split. It's early in the game. There's no real threat from black. So the correct move, I'm not going to go step by step. I'm just going to show the XG analysis for all these positions. The correct move is split. Slightly better to split with the 3 because we can play 13-9 safely, and also because we sometimes when you at the start you don't want to split to the 20 point because it's the point black is also trying to make when we're better off splitting to the 21 point, and it's slightly better to do this. Not a crisis if you didn't do it, but that was certainly the suggestion here. And then I took that position and said, well, let's try and work out when we're going back to our splitting rules that we did a few videos ago, earlier in Mitch's Proverbs, and then all the various different splitting rules we tried. The big rule that was out there that comes from Mochi, really, is going to never split against the blitz. So if we took this position here, and we'll just kind of alter it slightly and give black a much more advanced blitzing structure now. They've got 10 in the zone, they've got big gaps, they've got very advanced point on our 2 point, on their 2 point. Now, should we split? And it is a question. Clearly, you shouldn't split against a blitz. We know that. However, black has made an advanced anchor, and I just kind of put this position in just to weigh up which is more important, the advanced anchor or the never split against a blitz. And the answer is very clear. We shouldn't split. Now, again, it's a 29 million point blunder, not going to destroy your PR for good or anything like that. But we're still better off not splitting. So then I kind of played around with this, and all these are just me kind of fiddling around. I just thought I'd include them here. I very nearly left them out because they're not, I said, an expert analysis or anything. But I just said, well, look, what if black's point on their 2 point wasn't on the 2 point, but was on their 3 point? Should we split at this stage? And it's it's much of a much. Is still fractionally better not to split, but not disastrous if we do. I brought it back to the 4 point. Now black might be, yes, they have 10 checkers in the zone, so they are strong in the attack. But if we could make black's 5 point, their 4 point becomes utterly useless. So now it's slightly better to split and try and make that point. But again, it's not disastrous if you don't split, because the minute black has 10 checkers in the zone, they're attacking, and we need to be careful with the splitting. I said, well, what happens now if what I've done there is I've taken black had made our 5 point. I put them back in our 4 point instead, so they haven't got quite such a good advanced anchor. Does that take a little bit of pressure off us in terms of splitting? Absolutely. Now it's a mistake to split now. We give the blitzing becomes slightly more important than the advanced anchor, because black's advanced anchor isn't so good. And then I brought it back even more. I said, well, look, let's go back to where we were, but this time we'll give black the 5 point. Now, if you look at black, they have 10 checkers in the zone up in the top middle there. And they have a stacked 6 point, so that it's possibly slightly heading towards a blitz. But it's early days, yes, and this could turn into a prime. So we want to split against a prime. Our opponent has made an advanced anchor. It could be a blitz, but not a blitz yet. So for that reason, the correct move there, yes, we should split and try and fight for black's 4 point if we can at all. Okay, let's take that position. And again, looking at black at the top, they've made their 5 point there. What if they'd made their bar point, their 7 point instead, and a position like this? Now, I mentioned this when we were doing the splitting. I've kind of come up with a little theory of my own. There's no backgammon giant going to tell you this, but I kind of call this position sort of like a stacked prime or a proto blitz. They've got 10 in the zone, but they've also got a 3 point prime there. So definitely, when we looked at the splitting rules, this is where we should treat this as a prime that black has at the top. And the fact that they've stacked 6 point, 10 in the zone, doesn't mean that they're blitzing yet. And for that reason, we should split into a prime. Black has made the advanced anchor, so we should definitely split and really fight for an advanced anchor of our own. Is the best thing to do there. But then I gave black an extra checker on their 8 point. So they now have 11 in the zone. They're super strong. And the question is, should they hit? And I suppose the whole, all these positions I'm trying to show you here, just to explain, I'm just looking at the idea of countering an advanced anchor with an anchor versus being careful about splitting into a blitz. So giving black an advanced anchor, the question is, well, maybe we should play safe then? No, we should definitely continue that idea of splitting is important. And even I brought 2 of those 11 checkers right down to the 2 point. Are we blitzing now? We have a situation where we're a 3 prime up the top middle, but black has advanced a very advanced point on their 2 point. Are we now into a blitz? Should we be cautious of it? And the answer is no. Once our opponent has made the advanced point, we should split. And finally, I just gave one last position. I think this is the last position. Maybe it's the second last position, where I brought even more checkers in the zone. They've checkers on their 11 point, and sorry, it's not more checkers in the zone, but I took the 2 checkers that were on the bar point and put them back to the 8 point. Now we're in a very blitzy. Those two big candlesticks there, even though black has made their advanced anchor, we're dealing with what is clearly a very, very blitzy position. Black, two big stacked points, spare checkers in the 8 point, big gaps. We don't want to split into a blitz. So in this situation, we really are dealing with blitz. And look at that now. Suddenly, it's been much of a muchness, some of the moves, but suddenly splitting is a 74 millipoint error. It's nearly a blunder because it's so blatantly a prime that we're dealing with. Um, and so finally, I just took one last position where I took the checkers that were on the 2 point and put them back into black's 9 point. Black still has the 11 checkers in the zone. They still have the big candlesticks, the stacked 8 point and 6 point. Is it a blitz? XG would say it's not yet a blitz. They have done nothing in their home board. Yes, they've huge ammunition there, but on the basis that black has made a beautiful advanced anchor, we should try and split the not the 24-20 split, but 24-21, and try and just make ourselves an advanced anchor. It's a little bit ominous. If you look at it, we're only going to win 41% of the games, so we know we're behind, but we have to at least fight for that point if we can at all. And for that reason, it's the best thing to split. So that's it for, I said, a short, sweet concept. This idea of if our opponent makes an anchor, we should try and make an anchor of our own. I think it's fairly straightforward. Good advice. I think we'd naturally tend to do it, but just something to bear in mind. And say that's Mitchie's Proverb 15 covered.